Hello YouTube, welcome to Home and Garden Fix and Tricks. I'm Nicole. In today's video, we're going to talk about why Color Simit should rear his own chickens. Now, those of you who don't know Color Simit is a YouTuber. He go out and do some really unique Jamaican dishes. He's famous for the coconut dumpling. So I'm going to put his info up now. You can go and follow him. Big up Color Simit. Yeah man, big up J-Bud. Miss Little, the whole crew. Alright, so I must put this out there because I know some people are coming at the comment and they're going to say this, that, and they're going to say rare. But people, I explained to you already that. And I said in that video that when I call YouTubers, famous YouTubers name, is not hype I am looking. I am trying to beat the YouTube algorithm. And I am not a clickbaiter. If you watch one of my videos and you tell me you don't learn something, then you can unsubscribe, click off and go watch something else. Alright? I am an educator. I am here on YouTube to build, to encourage, to motivate, and to develop. I am not here to tear down. Alright, so that is just a disclaimer. So we're going to talk about why Color Simit should rear his own chicken. Now, we must also put this out there that Colors did mention that he's going to raise chicken. So I know that. But this video is just to encourage him and to tell him some of the benefits of raising his own chicken. And also to give him some advice on the construction and the implementation of the project. So, Color Simit, big up yourself again. And people, tag him in this because I want him to see it. Although I know him watch the channel still because the other day he did that video about my channel and big it up. So, big up to Colors. Now, let me just give you a little bit of backstory, people. Backyard chicken rearing and this building over here is a slaughterhouse being constructed. We are building a slaughterhouse right here. I am at school right now on the farm. So, a lot of people in Jamaica do backyard chicken rearing. And some of them have very good success while others fail. And some of the reason why they fail is just because of the lack of knowledge and the way how they implement their production system. So this video is to actually inform and to educate and to give clarity on some of the things, the do's and the don't, if you may say, the do's and the don't. So as I say, Colors, watch it because there's something to learn. See? So I'm gonna ask a question now. Why should Color Simit raise his own chicken? Well, it is self-explanatory to some extent. I have 3 points here. One, Colors use a lot of chicken meat in his cuisine on a daily basis. Big up Sax, the master in the fried chicken. Yeah man, big up yourself, Sax. And Sax, one day I will do a video on here too, you know. Yeah man, big up yourself, youth. So you know, Colors always I use chicken. Whether fry, stew, whatever way I use it, I use a lot of chicken. And one of the time I say, why Colors raise some chicken? Maybe not him himself, but give a youth and make a youth do a business and so they can live or fight same way. Because I know a lot of youth in the rural areas want to do something like that as a business. So I was always thinking about that. I said, why not just do something like that? And I'm glad to hear it when he mentioned it all the time. Own mouth the other day when he up on the hill of a ground God. So he's actually going to raise some chicken. Big up yourself, Colors. Alright, so why should I raise them own chicken? One, it brings in a constant supply of fresh chicken meat. You grow it, you know what goes into it, and you know where it's coming from. That's one. Two, it brings in an additional revenue for Colors. Right? And if him no one do it, as me say, him can give one of the youth, because I know say my youth will love boss youth. As me say, go and watch the video, me say Colors is the bounty killer of YouTube. I know him always a boss youth. I know maybe something like that him go do. Maybe no say him go do it directly. You know, understand me, but him go invest in it. But it brings in revenue. If you raise 100 chicken, you can make like upwards of $30,000-$40,000 profit, and that is every 6 weeks. So you see what I'm saying? And if you scale that up, it's endless in terms of the possibilities. So two, it brings in additional revenue. Three, it creates some level of employment. Because you have to have somebody for working it and for take care of it and you have to go pay them. right? And when time comes for you to process the birds, maybe I go call in a slaughtering crew, maybe a crew of 3, depending on how many chickens you have, and you also have to pay them. So it creates some level of employment, small as it may be, but it's still. And as me say, if you scale it up, opportunities are endless. So those are the 3 reasons why he should raise his own chicken. All right. In the next one now, we're going to look at how he should design it and some of the recommendations that I have. So stay tuned. So in the distance up there, people, we see that black tank is the chicken house. So in this segment of the video, we're going to talk about what are some of the things that cullers should consider to realize maximum profit. Because as I say, a lot of people go into chicken rearing and they are not successful while others are very successful. So what is the difference? These are some of the things that can maximize your success and give you a good shot. One, and this is the most important one. I'm listing them in the order of importance of how I see them. Cullers, listen to me, my brother. Whosoever you're going to get to do this project, let them see it as a business, because a lot of time people raise chicken, they don't see it as a business. And so therefore, if they don't see it as a business, then just go buy 200 chicken down and Miss Matty, then come up, put them in the coop, buy 20 bag of feeding, show out the feeding, give the chicken them, show some water, give them, and that's it. And when the time comes to kill, then kill, and that's it. Then sell, and I say, well, I mean, I really make the money now. Sometimes they don't even know if they make any money at all. Reason being, because of the lack of proper record keeping. So cullers, if you're going to raise chicken, make sure that you adopt good record keeping. If you want, you can link me. You can send them by email to you, because I have samples of record. What are some of the records that you should keep? Mortality record. That is the number of birds that died. So if today you go in the coop and you take up 2 dead chicken, write it down. So it have day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, go all the way up to the amount of days. It's 6 weeks, you're going to raise the chicken for, but my record go up to 8 weeks, because sometimes, eventualities may arise that you can't kill in 6 weeks. You have to have them for 7 weeks, 8 weeks sometimes. So that is the first one, mortality record. The next one, cull record. Culling record is the chicken where you see and you kill. For some reason, the chicken may look like them lethargic, they may have disease, and they may look sick, and you don't want them to infect the flock, and you kill that, that's a cull. So that's another record. 2, that's 2. 3, feed record, very important, my youth. The amount of feed you buy, you write it down. That means at the end of the production system, if you did buy 20 bag and you use 20 bag, you write, so you buy 20 bag and you use 20 bag. The next one is feed conversion ratio. Make sure you work out your feed conversion ratio, cullers. That is how you're going to know if you are making money or not. Feed conversion ratio is the total amount of feed that the chicken use over the period of time, and then you divide it by the total amount of chicken meat, and you get a ratio. The ratio is 3:1. So you want your chicken, your production system supposed to be producing. So every 3 pounds of feed that your chickens consume, the chicken should be converting it to at least 1 pound of flesh. So if the bird weighs 4 pounds, that bird's supposed to take no more than 12 pounds of feed. If you have a 4 pound bird and the bird that takes 16, 18 pounds of feed, something is wrong. So it therefore means that you're going to have a feed conversion ratio of maybe 3.5, 4, 5 to 1 rather than 3 to 1. In the industry right now, it is like 2.1, 2.2 thereabout. So feed conversion ratio is what you call an industry standard or a KPI that we use, key performance indicator. So as me come on your farm and as me go, so boom, tell me your feed conversion ratio. And if you tell me it's 3:1, that means the average bird is converting 3 pounds of, every 3 pounds of feed they eat, they're converting into 1 pound of flesh. I know that you are doing something good. If it's 4:1, then you are doing something bad. If it's anything higher than 3:1, then you are doing something wrong. So that's one of the critical things. So remember, my youth, remember, cullers, proper record keeping is the key, right? 2, the design of the house. Cullers, when you're designing the house or when you're going to construct the house, make sure that you make the house at the lowest point of the house, that is the eave, like right here. So this way you have that building, so you have that roof rather. This way you have that roof right there, guys. The lowest point of the house is supposed to be at least 10 feet. At least 10 feet from the floor up. Right? Then if you're going to have a roof like that, the highest point can be at least 12 to 13 feet. So you want a 2 or 3 feet drop from the highest point to the lowest point. Next thing, Make sure that you orientate your house from an east to west direction. So what may I talk about? If this is the house, if this is the house, this piece of paper, picture the house as a rectangle, right? The two long side of the house supposed to turn to east to west direction. So one of the long sides supposed to turn to the east, and the next long side supposed to turn to the west. If you are in a situation where you can't turn the house that way, then fine. Try your best as possible to turn it as much as you can to a east to west direction. Why that is so? A lot of people don't know this. When you put your house in that orientation, what you do is when the sun is setting, because you know the sun sets in the east and it starts rising in the east and setting at the west. So when the sun is rising in the east, it is shining on the long side of the house. That means that the sun will come inside of the house and it's going to keep the litter on the ground or on the floor dry. When it is setting in the evening, it is going to be shining on the next long side of the house, and that side now will be dry. So what will happen over time, the litter is not going to get so wet. Once it is not wet, then you keep down the smell. I used to raise chicken in a residential area when I was living at the house before I moved. I was raising chicken there, and when me give my neighbor's chicken and she said, where you get chicken from? I said, I'm here raise them, man. And she said, where? Country? I said, no, next door, right right next door to you, in my yard. She couldn't believe it because then it never smell. And the reason for that is because of good, proper litter management and because I orientate the house properly. So that's two. Also, in the design of the house colors, make sure that you put in a footbath. A footbath is an area right at the front or the entrance right before you go through the door. You put an area like a rectangle and you put some disinfectant in it so that the persons who are going in can step in that liquid, take off all the disease or microorganisms or pathogen that may be on your feet before carrying them into the house. Because I can tell you, I have experience. I see farmers lose 500 chicken, 200 chicken because of coccidiosis and other disease that affect chickens. So do that, my boss. Make sure you have a foot bath. Make sure the foot bath is washed on a daily basis or you can say a weekly basis, and make sure that disinfectant or J's, any form of bleach solution that can be put in there to eliminate any form of pathogen entering the house. So that is it. Next thing, use a dirt floor colors. Inside of that house there is a concrete floor we have there. There's a concrete floor we have in that poultry house. And I can tell you, when you have, just imagine you have 4 walls and then you have concrete at the bottom. Any form of leakage, a chicken jump up on a water line and the water line dislodge or burst or something, and then the entire house flood out. Rather than if it was dirt, then the water will automatically soak away. So make sure that the floor is dirt. Don't use concrete. Concrete is a waste of time. And make sure that you use marl inside of there. If you don't have marl, you can use sand. Right? And then you put the litter on the floor, the sawdust or the sand or whatever litter material that you choose to use. So don't go ahead and concrete it. Make sure that you use dirt on the floor. However, the perimeter of the building, like where you see that white wall, the foundation rather, supposed to be concrete, because you don't want any rats or any mongoose or anything to dig hole and go through and the chickens inside. So make sure that the perimeter, the lower foundation is concrete, but the floor inside of it should be dirt and not concrete. And people, this is not just for colors alone. It's for people who generally would want to go into chicken rearing. So that's 3. 4. Consider using sand instead of sawdust as your litter. Now, the litter material, and people, the litter material is the thing that you put on the floor for the chickens to keep them warm and to absorb their feces, so absorb the moisture in the feces and to keep them dry. Now, sawdust is the preferred choice for Jamaicans, I realize that, but sometimes sawdust is not available and then people can use sand. But one of the things that I noticed with sand is a superior litter material, and this is proven because a lot of studies have shown that sand is really superior, right, in terms of the absorbent capacity of the material and also the reusability of it, because sand is really a mineral and it takes long to break down. Sawdust is really a plant-based thing, so after a while it starts to decompose and it starts to break down basically. So in terms of the longevity of it, the sand work out better. So what you can do, colors, if you can afford the sand, you can use sand as a litter. You don't have to use sawdust. And then when you finish a batch of bird, what you do, you just use something and turn the sand and get all the feather to the top, and then you use a torch, like a blow torch, and you burn off all the feathers. You rest the house for maybe a week or two, and you raise chicken again. So sand, if you can get it, colors, is a superior litter material compared to sawdust. However, if you can't get sand, go right ahead and use the sawdust. So ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I listed the 4 things that colors should consider. And as I said, it's not for colors alone, generally for people who may want to go into chicken rearing. And very importantly, I want to make this last point to colors. When you're going to raise a chicken, if you're going to do it as something somewhat of a business and not a hobby, make sure that you raise at least. Make sure you design the house to hold at least 300. Because I realize raising 100 chicken is not economically viable. Because the same person we're going to ask to take care of the 100 can take care of 300. So it is not economically viable and makes sense to raise just 100 chicken, unless it is just something as a little backyard hobby that you are doing. But as long as you're going to do it as a business, for me personally, nothing less than 300 birds. That is economically viable. And an acceptable mortality rate, colors, this is just something that I need to tell you as well. And mortality is, as I said, the amount of chickens that died. An acceptable mortality rate of broiler birds is 10%. So if you have 300, 10% is what? 30. So anything you lose more than 30 chickens, especially in the later stage, because early mortality is preferable than late mortality. Meaning that if the chicken them dead when they're younger, it is better than they dying when they are 4 or 5 weeks, because by then they will consume most of your feed already. So you will have a greater loss. So 10% mortality is acceptable, but always aim to go much lower than 10%, and all of that is going to be achieved by your sanitation system, your management system, and your good record keeping system. And have somebody who have some form of training, right? Rather than just employing somebody that really have no experience in it. It is better to get somebody with some level of experience, somebody who actually do it already. Because as I said, it is a business, and if you don't be careful, you can lose and lose bigly. So that is that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for stopping by. And as I said, this is not just for colors, this is for persons who are rearing chicken generally and who may want to go into chicken rearing. Also, this is for persons who may be overseas and want to do investment in broiler birds. If you want to do investment in rearing broiler birds, or having one of those big contracts with a Caribbean boilers or Jamaica boilers, feel free to get in touch with me, because I have links and I can make linkages for you as well. That is a big investment in Jamaica now, especially if you live in the chicken belt. And the chicken belt is in St. Catherine, Clarendon. Those are the 3 parishes, and to some extent Kingston. Right, so the chicken belt is Kingston, St. Catherine, Clarendon. Right, if you want to go into broiler rearing, link me up. If you're overseas and you have a couple million that you want to invest, link me up. Cool? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for stopping by. And as I always say, it is not in gathering the most, but is in sharing the most that the most is received. For Home and Garden Fix and Tricks, I'm Nika. Peace.